In Star Wars A New Hope, Obi-Wan teaches Luke Skywalker to begin to feel the Force, to begin to connect with the Force. Obi-Wan has Luke put on a helmet so that it shuts off his vision, so that he has to connect with his feelings and connect with feeling the Force and become sensitive to the Force. Now, within us, we're essentially full of energy. All matter is a physical form of energy. We've got energy all around us. Energy in all of the matter, all of the gases, all plasma, solids, liquids. We're surrounded by energy. Even within outer space, there's energy. There's dark energy, which no one really knows what that is. There are numerous theories, but no one has an idea exactly what that is. But energy permeates the entire universe, even when you think there's nothing there. And it is possible to begin to connect with that energy. A lot of the therapy that I do involves using energy. And it's about manipulating information. So I use the idea of information transduction, how information transforms and changes as it passes through from one location to another in different forms of energy. And I use it for healing. So although I work as a hypnotherapist, one trouble that I encounter frequently is people struggle to put things into words. If you say to somebody who's depressed, "Why are you depressed?" and you start trying to get them to explain it, it's very difficult for them to put into words in a way that you can understand what their personal experience is. So when I work with people, I prefer to work without content. I prefer to let that deeper part of them connect with the world around them, connect with the universe. And I have them focus in on that connection, focus in on how that can manifest and transform from coming into them, from the world around them, then being manipulated by them on a sort of a non-conscious level. So they're not consciously manipulating this, it's just happening almost like instinctive for them. And then they manipulate that and they send that information that they need to the location they need it, whether it's healing a physical ailment or a psychological ailment, an emotional ailment, whatever it happens to be. It's about channeling it to that location and allowing it just to heal itself. And it's about self-expression. So why I like doing this in therapy is because it's all focused on the individual is a unique being. And so they've got their own way of doing therapy for themselves. It's not about me saying these are the theories of how you treat someone with this condition, or these are the theories of doing this type of therapy. It's about saying that I'm just a guide and you've got some kind of an issue that you'd like to address, something you'd like to heal yourself with, something you'd like to achieve. And so I'd like you to go through a process of self-expression and inner discovery to find your own answers to that, even if you don't know what those answers are on a conscious level. And so there's a specific way that I do this. And it's about helping the person to become sensitive to the Force, helping the person to begin to channel it. And once they learn this process and they practice it over and over again and they dedicate some time and, more importantly, focus to doing this, then they can really become sensitive and attuned to that, and they can do this for themselves whenever they want on whatever kind of condition that they want, whatever problem they might want to address or whatever they'd like to achieve. For example, I've done this with people who are trying to get an insight into something. Say they're trying to create something, come up with a business idea. So not just problem focused, but on them wanting to achieve something for personal development or personal growth. And they'll do this process and then spontaneously at some point, because they're letting this happen without interfering, without that conscious interference of thinking, oh no, that's a rubbish idea, oh no, that wouldn't work, oh no, I wouldn't like to do this, oh I couldn't do that. All these judgments we make to ourselves which limit us and make us not actually go and do the things we could really do. because they're not using that part of the brain, what happens is it just bubbles along, and then when the time is right, all the self-expression happens, and when the time is right, it just suddenly appears, almost like a flash in their mind. Suddenly they just get a word or an idea, and it makes sense to them, or an image, and it could be metaphorical, it could be non-metaphorical, but it just comes to them somehow instinctively from within them, that answer for how they need to move forward. And it just makes sense to them as an individual, even if they don't know why it makes sense. So what I'd like to do is guide you through this process, teach you how to connect with the Force. So what I want you to do is rub your hands together. And you want to do this when you're making sure your attention isn't having to be on anything else. You just want to be able to give this your full attention. So rub your hands together, get some good energy there. So what you're doing is just making it so that you've got something that you can notice, that you can work with. And then move your hands apart, say about 6 or 8 inches apart. And just gaze down between the hands. Focus on the space between the hands. And what I want you to do is really consider, really become mindful of the sensations. So it's about allowing yourself to go with this, allowing yourself to be drawn into the sensations. So whatever sensations you can feel there, just go into that. So if there's certain sensations, perhaps in one palm or the other palm or your fingertips, just really be aware of that while gazing between the hands. And take this seriously as you do this. And just notice fairly quickly how that changes. It could suddenly feel like a solid ball between the hands. And you could even try moving your hands just ever so slightly to feel it, almost like you're squishing and pushing on a solid ball. And maybe it's a tingling or a warmth or a coolness, but just notice the sensations. Notice how that energy isn't in either hand. It literally is between the hands. So although it's invisible to your vision, you can be sensitive to it. You can pick that up. Notice it between those hands. And then just begin to notice how it moves or changes. Allow yourself to be drawn into that. Now some people at some point end up closing their eyes just to shut out the visual information to help themselves become even more attuned and even more sensitive to the Force. And you may notice finger twitches as that energy moves around the hands, through the fingers. You may notice almost like a sound to that energy, or a sense of a colour, or other sensations, or a pulsing. Just notice how solid that is there. And then you've gathered up some energy, you've gathered up some of that force there. You've become sensitive to the force between those hands and around those hands. But you want to begin to broaden that out. So allow that focus to follow the fingertips, follow up through the palms, into your arms, and through into your body. And if it helps, just have a sense of a colour with that, as that passes into your body through the hands, from that ball between the hands. And maybe you'll notice that as it passes from between your hands into your hands and through into your body, that sensitivity to the force, so that ball of energy seems to dissipate, like when you're unravelling a roll of wool, where less and less is between the hands because it's moving into the body. So those hands which were pushing on that ball of energy perhaps start to come together. but they can only come together at the rate and speed that the energy between the hands moves into your body and through your body. And it could happen more with each in-breath or each out-breath. Maybe breathing in that energy, breathing out any problems, any blockages, any stress. Making the out-breath slightly longer than the in-breath as you do this. And those hands may just slowly come together in their own way. Some people may notice it like the fingers twitching, wanting to move together faster than the palms, or the palms just naturally jerking towards each other, or smoothly moving towards each other. And there'll be some people that actually will be gathering up even more energy between those hands, and their hands will probably move apart. And because it's about self-expression, there'll be some people where the hands will just start to do some inner work for you. And they may gather up bits of energy from all over the place, gather up some connection with the force, and the hands may move in different patterns before settling down onto your lap or down by your sides. And as the hands lower down by your sides, only when they're ready, only when all that energy from between them has entered into you and started passing through you, at that point you can have a sense of what that looks like, what it feels like to have that force connection, to be aware of it flowing through you. Maybe you notice movement if you close your eyes. Maybe you notice movement behind your eyelids. Maybe movement of shapes, patterns, colours. Maybe you get these occasional bursts of images, perhaps places you've never been before, vast vistas. You're just looking over some sort of natural wildlife is what people often say they experience, where they're forming this connection with the wider world around them. Not with objects, but with the wider natural world, with nature, with the planet, with the stars in the sky. And that connection can spread out, and you can almost feel it. You know, we have an electromagnetic pulse that comes out from our heart beating, that can be detected out from our body, and it connects with the electromagnetism of the earth, which connects to the electromagnetism within the solar system from the other planets, from the sun, which connects with the electromagnetism within our galaxy, which connects with filaments stretching across the universe, connecting one galaxy to the next and surrounding the universe. And we are all connected to that. And so you can have a sense of that connection, a sense of wonder, of awe, of inspiration, of personal growth and freedom. And you're unconscious, that part of you which is working on these concepts and understanding them, can present this to you in a way that you can understand. So it could be through colour, through light. It could be through images, sounds, feelings. Whatever way, for your own self-expression, whatever way that it can connect that for you as an individual. That could be connected through you, within you, through your feet to the ground, through your body to the world around you. Connecting, almost like compassion to others, to all beings, all living things, to the inanimate world around you. A certain value and compassion which can spread out wider and wider. And your unconscious now can represent that in its own unique way. That's your own self-expression, that helps you to understand this in your own language, in your own way. Not in my language and my way of explaining it, but in your way of explaining it. Where when you come to the end of this, when you're ready, and it feels instinctively right, you'll be able to open your eyes, and yet you'll hold on to something deep and meaningful as you open your eyes, something really powerful, something that will help you connect with everything around you, that will transform your experience of the world for the better, that will help you to understand things on a deeper level, understand your place with everything around you, and how everything is one, and one is everything. And that can spread, almost like spreading from your heart, to touch the heart and the nervous systems of all living things. And just putting your hand near stones, near other natural objects that have spent billions of years going through different change processes, you can feel that and have a sense of its life, of its journey through time. And once you know, just instinctively, that you've got that connection, you feel calm, you feel peaceful, you feel restful, then your eyes will just naturally open gently, and the world will seem bright and clear, and you'll feel a connection with the world, and you'll be able to access that force. You'll be able to access the force easily and effortlessly just by practicing this, going through this process over and over again, to really help to tune yourself into the force. And I'm just going to end by telling you how to use this as a therapeutic thing. So after you've rubbed your hands together and you've moved your hands apart a little bit, you can look through those hands and you can ask, if the force is able to help me to address this problem, will those hands signal that to me by moving together or apart? And then you just gaze through the hands and you wait and you see, do they appear to move together? Do they appear to move apart? Is there little jerks, like they're going to, like from the fingers, they're going to move together or they're going to move apart? And some people, they do nothing, they just sit there, but the person just suddenly gets this feeling, they get a sense that the answer is yes. And occasionally they'll get a sense the answer is no. And sometimes the hands, to signal no, they'll do something different, and you'll just instinctively know that that answer was a no. And if it is a no, you can ask, can you make the necessary changes? Can you do what you have to do to make it so you can be willing to help me, that you can address whatever the block is to you helping me? And sometimes, in very rare occasions, some people need to ask a question like that once or twice to get through some of the blocks that they need to address, to really connect and allow that force, that flow, to be within them, flowing through them, connecting within their being. Because although it's always there, some people just haven't yet sensitized themselves to allow it to flow. They haven't let go enough to allow it in. And once you do that, and you get a yes answer, then you say, are you willing to do that now? If you are, start doing that inner work, and just give me a sign when that inner work is done. And then the hands will do what they do. Some people, the hands move all over the place. as they gather up bits and pieces and they work on different things. Other people, the hands just move slowly together or slowly apart. Some people, the hands just move in a different way. Often it's relevant to what they're working on. So people who need to connect with something as a fundamental part of their problem, normally their hands move around gathering stuff up and then they move it into the heart. And then once the work is done, they just feel like the work is done, almost like spontaneously. Their eyes open and they think, wow, something's shifted. So some people gather stuff up and then move it to their heart, and then let it spread within them, do the healing, do whatever work needs to be done. Some people with pain sometimes find the hands move around and go to the location of pain, and then the force passes from them, from the hand, into where the pain is, and it soothes the pain and it calms it. But the important thing with pain is it's a signal saying, look after this bit of the body. And if it's emotional pain, it's saying, look after this person in these types of situations. So the pain can be healed, but sometimes in situations where it needs to come back to say, I'm helping you here. Like if you've got a bad leg and you start running, you need the pain to come back to say, stop running please, because you're going to hurt me more. So there are different hand gestures. Some people need to be more receptive. Perhaps they need to connect with others in some way. Or they need to understand something in some way. And the hands may just naturally go open into a receptive kind of, I'm accepting the gift kind of posture. So different hand movements occur. And sometimes the hands just stay relatively still until the work is done. And it's just very focused state. And so once the work is done, then normally the eyes will just spontaneously open, and other times the work is done and the person just drifts into a sleep, or the work is done and the person just remains relaxed in a peaceful, calm state, while their neurology just updates with this new pattern, this new way of processing things. And then they notice in their life that the problem just seems to naturally start getting better itself over whatever time period was set on an unconscious kind of level.